Do you guys realize how close Luke Rockhold versus Sean Strickland is to a number one contenders match? Did I just blow your mind? Chael, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, let me make my case and see if you think that in 3 minutes, because I just looked at the rankings on accident. And that's the only way I get rankings, by the way. I've told you guys a million times, I don't know where to get it. But I mean, I see them. I go to the dirt sheets, the manas and the elbows, and every now and then they'll pop up a ranking, something I come across. I see it on Twitter. I don't try to avoid these things, but I just saw the rankings. 185 pounds. There ain't a damn guy on there I want to see Adesanya fight. I'll watch them all. There's not a guy I want to see. You can change that. That's where the promoter has to go to work. All right, I got these two guys. I'm going to have to build this up, put a hell of a marketing plan, tell the story. By the way, anybody in the room know what the story is? It's one of those things. All right. You got a damn good promoter. He's going to have to do that, though. One doesn't just fall in your lap. It just doesn't drop off the page. By the time you're in the top 15, particularly the top 10 and more over the top 5, your story is already told. You're interchangeable commodities at that point. And the audience knows who they are. Guys, I'm looking at the top 15. I'm not stopping at 5. I'm looking at all 15. They're not the goddamn guy I want to see fight Adesanya. And largely it's because of the success of Adesanya, who I do not predict is going to end up like Roy Jones. Now, what does that mean, like Roy Jones? Roy Jones is the greatest boxer, not of a year, not of his era, of a decade. You ask anyone in boxing, Max Kellerman could be here right now. You all trust Max. Hey, Max, who was the greatest boxer of the 90s? Roy Jones Jr. Everybody will give you that answer, and it's the right answer. Give me one mega fight Roy Jones ever had. It wasn't Roy's fault. You can't answer the question, he never had one. Amongst the biggest fights that Roy ever had, and it might have topped out with the absolute biggest numbers, we don't know because there wasn't a live gate there, was his last one against Mike Tyson. There has just never been a compelling or interesting match for Roy because he was so good. Just one of those things, but it's a real effect that you want to take a look at. There's only a few guys to ever go with that level of domination. There's ways to do it. Jordan, just as dominant. Babe Ruth didn't have a hard time. Hank Aaron, I mean, there's some guys that have done it and found a way to still be interesting. But boy, I just named 3 off the top of my head, and I went back 111 years to do that. Do you see the problem? I don't believe Adesanya is going to do that. He's too tactical. He's too far ahead. The mere fact that he saw this coming, went after John Jones, and actually made a play into a different division that would do one thing, which is to double his chances at parity, tells me Adesanya's aware and he's too damn smart, and it won't happen. So I don't predict for you that it will. I'm using that to prove my point that the 2 most interesting guys at middleweight right now are Adesanya and Sean Strickland. So how do we get them together? And I don't know, that would have been my answer a week ago. I would have thrown Till into that mix. Now, the only reason I'm being rude to my own guy in Kelvin Gastelum, the most recent winner in Derek Brunson, a Terminator in Paulo Costa, even a top 5 middleweight of all time in Robert Whittaker, is they've already fought him. So I'm looking for some parity. So when I look at the top 15, I don't suggest for you that Brunson doesn't deserve the opportunity. You know what I'm trying to say. Something new, something fresh. Where's an idea we haven't gone? There's one name. It is Sean Strickland. Period. Versus Adesanya. Now, I'll listen to you if you tell me Luke Rockhold. Luke has a problem in that he must get back on track. That's it. I'm not convinced that one win, one meaningful, impressive win, and one time on the microphone doesn't qualify him to at least be in the talks. I don't know whether you could get it for him or not. I don't know that he would win it, but I do believe he would be in the talks to take on Adesanya just on parity alone. And Sean Strickland right now versus Adesanya is the number 1 fight that I would want to see on that entire list. I get the problems and the conflicts of doing it. Sean's got some good stuff in his favor, and he is just coming off a win in a main event. But if he goes out there and gets a win over Luke Rockhold, a former champion, and he's the one that's dominant, it's Strickland versus Adesanya. For me. But I do believe Rockhold versus Izzy, I think that's just a story that works. I do. I think it's a matchup that's compelling. Great and dominant as Izzy is on his feet, man, go watch Luke Rockhold on the ground. Luke never gets credit there. He's next level. Interesting match. Only point I'm trying to prove. Got to get Luke back on a track. Yeah, okay. That's what the match with Sean is. That's why I call it a number one contenders match. Sean with a win over Luke. Makes a lot of sense to me. Makes a lot of sense to me. Very interesting match. Fresh parity, which I think Adesanya wants. They're not in each other's crosshairs yet. Nobody's talked about this. Nobody has called this a number one contenders match. You'd probably look a little foolish if you did. I'm willing to take the heat. But I think as this fight gets a little closer, all of us with an interest in the middleweight division need to start looking at it for what it is. This has the potential to be an extremely meaningful fight. Extremely. And I do understand how you could put Sean right into a title fight now. Likely will with a win over Rockhold. I'm not sure that still isn't true for Luke. I realize things haven't gone his way as of late, but he had changed weight classes. He removed him. There was a lot of moving parts where if he comes back and gets a win over a guy like Sean, it's going to matter. Enough for a title shot. I'm stretching. Enough that it would be the most interesting number one contenders match out there and made at middleweight right now, at least for me. Oh yeah, absolutely.